No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Along with my colleague, Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets victorious tonight 3-2 over the Seattle Kraken, proving, at least for tonight, that it's not about how you start, rather it's about how you finish. And the Winnipeg Jets finished with 3 unanswered goals, Mr. Manouk, to come away with a 3-2 overtime victory over the Kraken of Seattle, and they head away from the Emerald City with tonight's victory to move a total of 11 points now up on the Dallas Stars after the Stars only take 1 point earlier tonight or earlier this afternoon in Colorado. So since Friday, where it was all the hype on that, was it going to be 6 points? Was it going to be 10 points? Well, now 48 hours later, it's an 11-point Winnipeg Jets lead over the Stars for first place, in the Central Division. Nice to see you on this Sunday evening. Should extend our best wishes to our good friend, Mr. Ginsburg, who is under the weather, and we hope to have him back and healthy very soon. Unfortunately, not able to join us tonight.
Yeah, Ez is a bit sick, but that's all good. As I told him, we'll soldier on in his stead.
Yes,
and he did predict a Jets win. So as the Ginsburg, it wasn't a Ginsburg guarantee, but it was a Ginsburg prediction that comes to fruition, I should say. So look, it's just this team just doesn't cease to surprise me. We talked about what they do when they're leading after 2 or scoring the first goal. Well, they were not doing neither of those two things in this hockey game, and yet they come away with the 2 points, becoming the first team in the NHL to 98. They'll be I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain this has been the team that's hit every milestone. I think they were the first team to 50, first team to 60, first team to 70, first team to 80, and most likely 90 and 100. I mean, the Capitals might have gotten in there once or twice, but this Winnipeg Jets team, Drew, just doesn't cease to amaze me. They really don't. I mean, it's just a different guy picking it up and becoming a hero. Dylan Sandberg tonight decides that he's going to be the hero. And I just thought that there were, Brandon Tanev, and I tweeted this out because it's the truth. He's just amusing to watch because he on every one of his shifts, and I will see if the chat agrees with me or not, he either drops his stick, he lays a hit, or he somehow trips over his own skates. Like, it's actually amazing to watch him, and very entertaining. And although his former, as of like a week ago, Seattle teammates were too impressed with that big hit he laid in the first period, which again, entertainingly it laid out one of his former teammates, but then also managed to smoke. He dropped his own stick, which popped into the air, caught it, and then he face planted himself into the glass. So they went after him, but he had actually probably received a sort of hit when he hit the glass. So, Brandon Tanev's return to Seattle was obviously, he delighted one young fan, handing them a signed stick in warm-up. That was pretty cool. But again, this is a Jets team that even when they don't play their best hockey, and everybody who watched that game knows in that first period, they were not playing their best hockey. Although, as you and I talked about, Drew, and you can relay this notation, because I was saying that was not their best first period.
Yeah.
The numbers suggest otherwise.
Yeah, it's funny, so the first period for the Jets, obviously they're down 2-1 after 20 minutes, almost, we're down 2-0 after 20 until the late goal. really that was the concept. The Jets not moving their feet very well, not really controlling the pace of play. It's funny, according to Natural Stat Trick at 5-on-5, in terms of the shot attempts, they were 68% in the Jets' favor in that first period. So from what appeared for everybody, and this is sometimes where the eye test and the analytics may not align perfectly, from everybody's perspective, it wasn't a great first period for the Winnipeg Jets. A little bit of a slow first period, maybe a little bit of a hangover from the Friday night excitement of that win over Dallas, yet somehow they still controlled the possession numbers in that first period. By and large, they controlled the possession numbers over the course of the game. 64% to 36% were the possession numbers in the Jets' favor. The high danger chances tonight, much more even though, 12-11 in the Jets' favor. But and of course the scoreboard with the 3-2 overtime. This is a game, I mean, Dave, from my perspective, it's not a surprise that maybe it took the Jets a little bit of time to get going in the course of tonight's game. After the emotional buildup of Friday night and then the emotional, just the performance on the ice, it's hard to get as excited for a Sunday evening, pretty sleepy game against a pretty lousy Seattle Kraken team. So it's hard to be ready to go right at the drop of a puck. It's one of those games you sort of have to build, period by period, shift by shift. And I thought that's what the Winnipeg Jets did. That they got better as the game went on. They got their skating legs as the game went on. That goal late in the first period by Cole Perfetti, which we'll get to in the course of the Play Now game recap tonight, I thought that was a huge goal for the Winnipeg Jets, just to say, okay, it's now just a 1-goal game after 20 minutes. We'll find our legs. We'll be able to, go after the Seattle team that we are better against and better than. And the Jets eventually did that. Of course, when it comes down to overtime, it's anybody's game. But as long as you got that 1 point tonight, I thought that, if you lose in 3-on-3 overtime, sort of que sera, sera, given everything that's going on. But the fact that you're able to still get that win in overtime goes a little bit further. And how about the guys? Look, Kyle Connor obviously got a great goal in tonight's game.
Beautiful.
But I want to focus on Cole Perfetti, goal and an assist tonight. Mm-hmm. Dylan Samberg, goal and an assist tonight. Morgan Barron.
I was going to say, you got to mention 36 because I thought he was very impactful in this game.
And this is what we're seeing. It's not, the Jets, Scheifele and Connor and Velarde and Ehlers, they were fine. You would notice them. They had some chances, but they weren't superstars in tonight's game.
Nope.
When you now have Dylan Samberg, who's all of a sudden finding the offensive touch and he's an offensive juggernaut, all of a sudden getting ice time 3-on-3 in overtime, and he's feeling his oats a little bit. And we've spoken about Perfetti, and I've been, hammering Morgan Barron since he became a centerman back for this team. You saw them all develop and deliver for the Winnipeg Jets tonight against the Seattle Kraken.
Okay, Drew, you had quite the soliloquy, and I'm loath to give you more airtime, but you may be choosing to do this later, but I'll Hollywood and put this out, and I'll let you, because you're wearing the Bison's shirt.
Yes.
Give out a little shout out here.
So that's where, admittedly, folks, I was only keeping one eye on the first period of tonight's game as I was at the Investors Group Athletic Center with my wife and with my kids to cheer on the University of Manitoba women's volleyball team. What an atmosphere. We'll get into it. I'll tell you what, it was a better atmosphere at the IGAC than it was in that arena, in Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle. 3,000 people, jam-packed to the rafters, and they were there for a celebration even before the match started. It was such a great time. Admittedly, I really do enjoy volleyball. I don't know why I like volleyball. It's not like I can jump. It's not like I have height. But for whatever reason, volleyball is one of those sports that really connects with me. So it was a great atmosphere at the Investors Group Athletic Center. The University of Manitoba Bisons came into the championship game as the favorite after they won the semifinal yesterday. They pulled off the upset yesterday, but this is a hell of a Bisons team. Their first championship, I believe, in the last 11 years. So they've been a bit of a dry spell for them. But with the victory tonight, They move into second place all time, I believe, in U Sports Women's Volleyball Championships. They win 3 games to 1, 3 sets to 1 over Montreal. Montreal fought very hard. It looked like the Bison were going to sweep them 3-0, and then the Montreal fought back in that third set. But you could see they ran out of gas in the fourth set, and just a terrific atmosphere. And we extend all of our congratulations to the University of Manitoba women's volleyball program. They are the U Sports champions for this year. And as I was saying to you, Dave, before we started the show, I venture to guess that myself, my wife, and my kids, we're the only 4 people probably in North America, maybe the world, who attended both the NCAA Women's Volleyball Championships this year, which we did back in December in Louisville, and the U Sports Women's Volleyball Championships, which we did tonight. So a little feather in our cap, but all praise to the University of Manitoba women's volleyball team for getting the job done on home court. And what a great atmosphere down on the campus of the University of Manitoba.
There you go. Illegal Spike could be the name of this show because I gave Drew more airtime, much to my own chagrin. But hey, the Bisons win the championship, so you got to give them a shout out. We're big supporters here in Manitoba sports, but there we go. So congrats to the women's volleyball team who become national champions, despite Drew being in attendance. So
yes,
to get back to your original point, Drew, this was again another example of, if the top line isn't going, can you get production from elsewhere? And that's not really an answer that requires a question story that requires an answer, because we've seen it throughout the course of the season. But you see new guys emerging, and Morgan Barron, I thought, like, throughout the course of this game, I thought some guys had some rough games. I thought Dylan DeMello had a rough game tonight. I thought he made 2 or 3 giveaways that they were uncharacteristic. And I know that the D pairs were switching throughout the course of the evening. I know that Scott Arniel was testing some things, and Luke Shen was playing with Josh Morrissey. There were a couple of switches for sure. And yeah, like I said, I thought Dylan DeMello had a little bit of a rough game. I thought Gabriel Velarde's a little bit quiet for my liking. I thought Kyle Connor was noticeable throughout the game. That he had a couple of really good chances. But yeah, I mean, to me, Cole Perfetti, that goal, again, do I think that the Kraken are such a team that if the Jets are down 2-0, they can't come back and win that game after 20 minutes? No, yeah. I don't. But it is a changing the nature of that first period, because, like we talked about, despite the analytics, the Kraken seem to have a lot of that momentum. So, hold on, sorry, Doug is asking to remove it, because when I set the chat up, I better go. Hold on, Drew, you better take over, because I'm gonna have to make a quick edit right now, because
I don't know what you're talking about, but you go do whatever you need to do. Here's a tweet from our good friend Connor Harabchuk, who's going to be in attendance at Tuesday's game in Vancouver. He's on the road. We sent him on the road. I don't know if we sent him on the road. I think he went on the road himself, but he'll be in attendance at Tuesday in Vancouver. Dylan Sandberg on the ice tonight for the Winnipeg Jets at 5-on-5, 3-0. In the Jets' advantage for the goals for. Shot attempts with him on the ice, 31-14. Shots on goal, 16-3. This is with Sandberg on the ice. Scoring chances of 12-4 and an expected goals percentage of 76.5%. That's Dylan Sandberg absolutely dominating the opponents, eating his minutes and having some left over for dinner. He is going to get paid big dollars this offseason. That's how important he has become, and that is the leadership role he's stepping into. And look, Josh Morrissey is still going to be the 1A tops line left side defender on this team for what he can do on both sides. But it's not even that Dylan Sandberg is that far behind Josh Morrissey at that point in time. He tips the ice in the Jets' favor game in and game out, and his development this year. Remember, it wasn't that many months ago. The question was, would he be able to play those top 4 minutes?
Not a question on this show.
And right, no question on this show, but that was a narrative at training camp. That was a narrative early on in the season. Not only is he playing those minutes, but he's absolutely controlling those minutes.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. Connor talks about it. Dom Lucian is really the only national analyst who is able to see Dylan Sandberg for what he is, because he's not always flashy. He's not going end to end. He's not Cale Makaring or Zach Werenskiing it or Quinn Hughesing it. He's just going out there and he's winning his minutes and beating the opponent. And for him to get the game-winning goal tonight is just a feather in a cap in what was an exquisite performance by the Winnipeg Jets defender.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go quite out on the same limb as you and put him in the Josh Morrissey category.
No, he's not Josh Morrissey, but he's damn good defender. I mean, the Jets have, he's a bona fide top 4 defender.
There's no question. There's no question about it. And I had a conversation earlier today with someone who was in hockey, and I said that exact thing. I said, look, I knew from watching him with the Moose that he was going to be a very good hockey player. And I could tell you that he doesn't come as any surprise to me that he is a top 4 guy. And I would not, again, put him in the same category as a Josh Morrissey, but again, he's still pretty young in his career. Right. And yeah, you're right, Drew. There were a lot of question marks as to whether he was going to be able to jump up and, get to that spot and be able to take over for Brendan Dillon. Mm-hmm. I don't think I think that question has been answered.
He's exceeded Brendan Dillon. With all due respect to Brendan Dillon and what he does for the Winnipeg Jets and what he did for the Winnipeg Jets in his time here, Dylan Sandberg this year, I think, is more impactful than Brendan Dillon was. And again, performance on the ice.
And again, the regular season is important. We're going to see what it's going to. The proof is in the pudding, as they say, and we'll see. Hey, I didn't butcher that one, Drew. And so we'll see now what happens come playoff time. But as folks know, I've been a Sandberg. I wouldn't call it a fan, but I would say that I've been confident in his abilities, and I've said for a long time that he is more than capable of being a second pairing defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets. I think less people are questioning that now. And look, I think it was fair to question because, he was in third pairing, somewhat sheltered minutes last year. And now he's been able to, and remember last year, of course, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for him to jump up. Now he is. And again, last year there were some hiccups and some warts, and you're going to get that. And we still get that with, like I said, Dylan DeMello is a veteran. Yeah. I didn't like his game tonight. He made quite a few mistakes tonight. So you're still going to have those hiccups, but they're becoming less and less frequent, and he is just becoming steadier and steadier. So, like I said, you really enjoy his game, and that was a really nice way for him to finish it because he had a strong game throughout the course of this hockey game.
That's just it. And so the Winnipeg Jets, as we talked about, as we mentioned, they start slow. They build upon it. Eric Comrie, sort of a weird night for Eric Comrie, having to get pulled. He gets the start. No surprise that he gets this game for the Winnipeg Jets, at least in my mind. He starts the game. He gets sort of bowled over in his crease, and then he gets pulled for the concussion test. So he goes to the quiet room. The concussion spotter pulls him from the game. Connor Hellebuyck comes in the game.
Yeah.
Connor Hellebuyck's probably his save percentage goes down as a result of the performance tonight, only making 5 saves on the 6 shots that he faces. He gives up that goal on the power play. Connor Hellebuyck does. And then Eric Comrie gets cleared by the concussion spotter, and he gets back into the game, and he rounds out finishing the entire game, gives up that goal to Mikey Eyssimont later in the first period. And then from then on, he's great for the Winnipeg Jets. Very solid, made a number of really nice saves. That big save on Adam Larsson when Adam Larsson got in behind the defenders, and not the guy you expect to sort of hear in behind the defenders and Adam Larsson in the same sentence. But he gets behind, Eric Comrie sticks out the right pad. He makes a nice save. I thought Joey Decord was good also for the Seattle Kraken tonight. And he made some nice saves when he had to, particularly later in the game, in the back half of the game for both teams. So good for Eric Comrie. He gets another victory in this sort of redemption season for him, where he had the numbers were really low for a while there because he wasn't getting any offensive help. But the Jets get 3 goals for him, and he comes back and he ends up getting the victory in tonight's game.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. It was a very weird game in that regard, because you did think like he seemed fine. He seemed he seemed a bit stunned when it first happened, and you're kind of like, okay, is he okay? And then he was, his characteristic Eric Comrie smile came out fairly quickly, and so you're like, okay, he's fine. And then they play it. I mean, that's the unusual part. He plays like another shift or two, and then all of a sudden, suddenly then you see Connor Hellebuck, and it was kind of funny actually because Connor Hellebuck, who we know usually watches the game with the video coaches,
right?
Suddenly he's on the bench and he's ready to go. But, and then it wasn't, then you weren't certain. You're like, okay, he's just standing there. And then sure enough, of course he has to go to the room and get checked out. So yeah, it was a bit of an unusual game in that regard, Drew. And it's not something we are used to seeing, but they handled it well. And, Eric Comrie is a pro, and you're right. He hasn't been getting, he didn't get the run support that Connor Hellebuck did throughout the course of the season, but he is now that's 4 wins in his last 5 games. Yeah. Again, another guy who I felt was more than capable of being a solid backup for the Winnipeg Jets and giving them, consistent efforts. And you look at it, what is his save percentage? 915 or 916?
Something like that. Very solid. Certainly
his goals against is
2.46 entering tonight's game.
Yeah. So
I mean, you look at his last 5 games. So he, the game against Philadelphia, 1 goal against. Tonight, 2 goals against. The game against Nashville, 2 goals against. The game against St. Louis, which ended up being a win, 3 goals against. 0 goals against Carolina. 2 goals against Calgary. All you want from your backup is that he keeps you in the game, and he's been doing that. Certainly more, more than at the beginning of the year, even when the numbers may have not been necessarily his fault. But coming into tonight, 246 is his goals against average and a 914 save percentage. Again, it speaks to the Winnipeg Jets' commitment to defense as a whole. It speaks to goalies in this league. If they can see the shot and if they know where the shot's coming from, as Connor Hellebuck has been talking about, should be able to make the save. And Eric Comrie has certainly been doing that for the Winnipeg Jets. And as a result, he gets the victory tonight in this contest where he gets pulled as well to go to the concussion room to get some quiet time out there.
It would have been ironic though if Hellebuck gives up the 1 goal, the Jets would have scored 2 and then Comrie comes back in and they win 2-1. So he wouldn't have gotten the win, which would have been hilarious. But but regardless, I mean, the team's happy to get him because, like I said, I'm in the room. You can tell that these guys felt bad during that stretch of, was it 7 out of the 8 games where he didn't get a win, and so you knew that they wanted to turn things around. Eric Comrie wants to turn it around. Again, he's a happy guy. He's happy to be in Winnipeg. But he's not just happy to be along for the ride. Like, he wants to be part of that winning culture that's here. And so sure enough, this is a Seattle team they were sellers at the deadline. They were 11 points back coming into today's game of the second wild card. But I will say again that this is
only 10 points back now. The comeback is on.
Right. Because the Canucks happened to lose tonight. And I think yeah, and Utah won, by the way. The team that
Utah beat Vancouver.
I know, 3-1. So I'm just saying that it's just one of those things that, we talked about it before, Drew. But, if you're Winnipeg Jets, you know that Dallas and Colorado went to overtime and Colorado beat Dallas, which of course I guess is what you're hoping for, because you don't really care who finishes second or third. You just don't want you don't want Dallas to get that extra point. Obviously, an extra time game between those two isn't great, but you'd rather it go to Colorado at this point, who shockingly are only 3 points back of Dallas now. Yeah. So, again, not catching the Jets, but still, like, the fact that they appear to have fallen off a little bit, but yet they didn't. And then they're only, like, what are they? Only
8-1-1 in their last 10. So when you go 8-1-1 in your last, I mean, the Avs are 8-1-1 in the last 10. The Stars are 6-3-1 in their last 10. The Jets are 6-3-1 in their last 10 as well. So yeah, Colorado's gaining a little bit of ground on Dallas. Again, though, Dallas still has 2 games in hand on Colorado. They have 2 games in hand on the Jets still. Yeah. So Dallas is still in the driver's seat, I would say, for second spot in the Central. But I think just the results of this weekend, again, the Jets were always going to be the the strong favorite, even if they had lost on Friday to Dallas. Sure. But to gain 3 points on the Stars over the course of the weekend even puts further emphasis on just how much in the driver's seat the Winnipeg Jets are to finish atop the Central Division and win a division in the first time of the 1.0 or 2.0 history of the Winnipeg Jets at the NHL level.
And like I said, don't minimize it. And I'm not saying you are, but I just think that does have it's important. You could say it doesn't make a difference. These guys don't want to lose hockey games. They want to play the right way. And we'll talk about how I'm sure they weren't happy with their first period.
Yeah.
And some of the penalty trouble they were getting into, despite, Cole Perfetti not liking or not agreeing with the penalties. But like I was saying to Drew, this is a team that is continuing to roll, continuing to pile up wins. They'll most likely end up being the first team to 100 points in the NHL this season.
Yeah.
They're on pace
to do that on Tuesday against Vancouver. They're
on pace to smash the previous high of 114 points set in, was it 17-18 when they got the 114? Right? Last year was 110. Last year was 110 and 17-18 was 114. So, I mean, they're going to most likely, eclipse that mark. It is a remarkable season. It is. And like we've talked about, the regular season is the prelude to the postseason, of course. But as Drew likes to say, and I do think it's important to note, enjoy this regular season, folks, because there's many a time when Drew, Ezzy, and I go live, and you folks, probably less of you when there's losses, are grumbling and bumbling about all the futility of the Winnipeg Jets. But right now we're talking about a Winnipeg Jets team that has won 47 games, only lost 17, and have 4 overtime or shootout losses. So, I mean, just a remarkable season we're witnessing here in Winnipeg in 2024-2025.
Very, very true. Let's get into the goal-by-goal recap on tonight's Illegal Curve post-game show. It, of course, is brought to you by our friends at Play Now, and that makes it all the more apropos that it's called the Play Now Game Recap.
The Play Now Game Recap.
Learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply, 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. And as a reminder for all of you, over 450 of you who are joining us live, plus everybody else who's going to be listening to this afterwards on the podcast edition and or watching the replay of this show, we remind you to head to our Instagram page and our Facebook page at Illegal Curve. We, in conjunction with our friends at Play Now, are giving away 4 tickets to the Jets-Oilers game on Sunday, April the 13th. So that game would be coming up in about a month from now. So we are giving away those 4 tickets. You have until Tuesday at, I think it's 9 a.m., I believe, if I'm not mistaken. You have until Tuesday morning to join the contest. All the information on our Instagram page. Look for the giveaway post on our Facebook page. Look for the giveaway post. Enter the contest. We'll draw a winner to get 4 tickets to the Jets and the Oilers game Sunday, April the 13th. Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for facilitating this contest in conjunction with us. We're looking forward to sending somebody to that game on Sunday, April the 13th. So get your entries in now if you haven't already done so. That's right, Dave's pointing, which means you better be doing it while you're at it. You might as well smash the like button while you're on the YouTube channel, because otherwise Dave's going to point at you even more at that point. The Kraken opened the scoring. We said a bit of a slow start for the Winnipeg Jets. It was Brandon Tanev takes an early, roughing penalty. They kill off that penalty. But then Cole Perfetti gets called for hooking. He doesn't agree.
Cole Goonfetti, you mean?
Goonfetti, yes. Goonfetti is what I meant to say. He doesn't agree with the call, but nonetheless, the call is made. And with just at the 9:58 mark of the first period, Yanni Neiman, who actually looked pretty impressive for the Seattle Kraken in tonight's game, he gets his second of the season. Jordan Eberle and Chandler Stevenson get the assists here, and it's a bit of a breakdown by the Winnipeg Jets.
Drew, what's
on the
going on with you?
PK. Pardon me, just coughing a little bit. Bit of a breakdown, allowing Neiman to be get teed up right in the slot, and he makes no mistake wiring it past. That one goes past Connor Hellebuck, not Eric Comrie, because Comrie had been pulled for the concussion spotter at this point in time. He beats Connor Hellebuck to give the Kraken the 1-0 lead, Dave.
Yeah, the 2022 second rounder has 2 goals in 3 games so far since getting the call up to play in the big leagues, and is looking pretty good. I prefer Kevin Sawyer's pronunciation of his last name, Newman, as he said on the broadcast. Although, and shout out to Dan Robertson acknowledging St. Patrick's Day and calling Kevin O'Sawyer during the third period. I thought that was rather entertaining. Dan's a witty guy, so I enjoyed that. But yeah, I mean, this is just a bit of a broken play, of course, and the Jets, like I mentioned earlier, Drew, during the preamble, I mean, Cole Perfetti wasn't happy that this was called a penalty in the first place. I thought it was kind of marginal. I mean, his hands were there, but I think it was on Montour, and Montour's a veteran guy. He knows how to make it look like it was a hook, and so he draws the power play and for Seattle, and the Jets had looked pretty good on the PK to this point, and yet, it just shows you that you get a bit of overloaded, between, I think it was Hayden Fleury went for the to support Luke Shen, and that of course freed up. It was a 2-on-1, and Brandon Tanev maybe a second late to get over, and isn't able to stop the pass from Eberle out, and Neiman makes no mistake, burring that shot upstairs on Connor Hellebuck. So nice goal by the I believe he's a Finnish guy. So nice by the young Finn, I should say. And the Jets give up a power play goal, which I can't remember, Drew, but they haven't given up very many power play goals. We've been lauding their PK of late. So a bit of a breakdown on this section of the PK.
Yeah, no question about it. The penalty kill has been pretty good for the Jets as of late. Interesting, though, on this one, Mark Scheifele also getting some additional PK time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, comes back to bite him in this instance. Not that he's solely responsible for the goal or anything like that, but just a bad breakdown by the Jets PK. But interesting that Scheifele is getting this PK opportunity, because as we talked about yesterday on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, not something that you would be usually expecting to say. At that point for the Jets. So 1-0 for the Seattle Kraken about halfway through the first period. They make it 2-0 5 minutes later.
But hold on, Drew, before that play, Alex Iafallo comes like within an inch of burring. I think it was the Morgan Barron rebound. And so Joey Decord made a nice save. Originally, I thought Iafallo just kind of whiffed on it, but Decord made a nice save and stopped it. But it just goes to show you, it's kind of like, oh, you're going to remember that one again early in the game. So it's not like it was in the third period or late in the second, but still a nice, I guess it was more just, I wanted to credit the fourth line, because I thought they brought a lot of energy, and I've seen a lot of comments in the chat about Brandon Tanev, but I thought Alex Iafallo had a number of good shots, and I thought that so did Morgan Barron. So I thought the fourth line was really effective in the minutes. I don't know what their overall minutes ended up being in tonight's hockey game, Drew, but I just thought that they were consistent, and they brought a lot of that energy throughout the course of this evening.
Well, to your point, so they played just under 6.5 minutes at 5-on-5 as a forward line. 83% was their possession numbers. So it was an 83% advantage in terms of their shots for, and a 95% expected goals percentage. And we know, of course, Morgan Barron sets up Kyle Connor for the tying goal, which we'll get into, but it just goes to show you that they definitely ate their minutes in tonight's game, so much so that Scott Arniel was playing them late in that third period when it was a tie game without blinking an eye, throwing them over the boards, and they would win those minutes consistently. And that's something we talked about lately, that fourth line, now that it's sort of changed the dynamic and more of a physical fourth line than strictly the speed element that it had with Rasmus Kupari on it, which was still an effective fourth line in that period. Now I really think that they found their identity with Tanev and Barron and Iafallo, and going to continue to be interesting watching them out there doing that.
And I've highlighted this comment from Lanny, but he just says, for those listening on the podcast, have to love having a fourth line. You don't even have to think about sheltering their minutes. So, I mean, and And it's true. I mean, again, they didn't play a ton at 5-on-5, and it's not a surprise when the Jets were, chasing for parts of the game and that sort of thing. But again, to your point, Drew, they are a line that head coach Scott O'Neill is not afraid to use, and they are effective when they get thrown on that ice.
Yeah, exactly right. The Kraken make it 2-0 though. This at the 15:23 mark, so with about 4.5 minutes to go in the first period. It's not going to be one that Colin Miller is going to want to watch on the highlight reel, but it is Mikey Eyssimont, the former Winnipeg Jet, gets his 7th goal of the season, his first since being acquired by the Kraken. He just walks around Colin Miller at the Winnipeg Jets blue line. Hayden Fleury is back there as well. He's playing the pass. And Eyssimont comes in and he's got a step on Colin Miller. Mason Appleton's trying to get back into the play as well. And, Eyssimont makes no mistake. He beats Eric Comrie pretty clean with the shot, but just, not the best defensive play we've ever seen by Colin Miller. And I'm being charitable when I say that. He stands up Eyssimont at the blue line, but he just whiffs on it entirely. And then he's in a chase position from that point in time onwards, and he's unable to catch up. And it's not going to look good on the video review for the Winnipeg Jets' third pairing right side defenseman.
No, and look, I mean, it's a bad line change, and credit Seattle because they take full advantage of the line of the, Evans gets it up to Michael Eyssimont.
Yes.
Not Mikey, because of course, even though it was Mikey when I was interviewing with the Manitoba Moose, he became more official when he was joining the NHL, and he had to become Michael as opposed to Mikey. But anyway,
he got away from you. He figured he'd change his name entirely.
Yeah, exactly. So anywho, it was just, it wasn't a great, you could see the Domestikov line was coming off and there was a bit of a transition there, and a good, like I said, good pass by Evans up to Eyssimont. And yeah, it's not a great look for Miller because he kind of gets turned around and he just gets dipsy doodle.
You either got to take the body, you got to take the puck. You can't miss out on both.
But yeah, again, there's no question about it. And he just gets caught puck watching, and like I said, Eyssimont, who's a very tenacious young player, and he makes a nice move, and then he beats Eric Comrie for his first goal of the game, of course, and it's a 2-0 game. And you got to give the crowd credit. I mean, the Kraken I thought were good to start that game, but yeah, I mean Miller just gets caught flat-footed. I mean Fleury, can't really blame him. It's a 2-on-1, so he's taking the man and he's giving Comrie the shot, and Comrie just gets beat 5 holes. So I wouldn't really hold Fleury responsible for this one, because if he burns over to Eyssimont, and there's no guarantee he's going to get there, there's a chance, of course, that he ends up opening it up for that easy pass to finish it off 2-on-1. So, like I said, I just thought Miller was the big culprit on that one. Also, a bit of a laissez-faire line change by the Jets.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment entirely. It certainly looked like it was going to be 2-0 after 20 minutes, but with 17 seconds to go in the first period. And it might even be, if you wanted to call it your proverbial turning point, it gets the Jets right back into this game. Cole Perfetti, his 14th of the year, assist to Dylan Samberg and Vlad Namestnikov. And it's a real strong forecheck by Namestnikov, by Perfetti. They go and they sort of take the puck away from Brandon Montour of the Seattle Kraken. They work the puck around back up to the boards to Samberg, and he lets the shot go, and Cole Perfetti has body position on Riker Evans. Riker Evans is fronting Cole Perfetti. The puck gets through. There's a rebound off of the pad of Joey Decord, and Perfetti is on the inside between Evans and Decord. He picks up the rebound and he tucks it into the Kraken goal. And I think it really gave the Jets a boost to go from being down 2-0 at the end of 20 minutes to instead being just a 2-1 deficit at this point in time.
And remember, this is a Jets team that more often than not gave up those late goals. And we remember whether it was the end of a game or throughout the course of a hockey game, they'd give it up and you'd kind of like, okay, well, and it didn't matter what the score was at that point. And I just like the fact that there was a lot of tenacity. And we saw that with the forecheck was a good one. They overloaded, and then, they started to create. And one of the things we talked about with Cole Perfetti was just this idea, like he reaches, he sees, okay, there's some soft ice here. I'm going to get behind. And the fact that they left him wide open, real nice pass by Nemestikov over to Sandberg. Sandberg knows he's got to just get it on net. And sure enough, with whatever ended up being like 15 seconds, 16 seconds left in the period, Cole Perfetti gets his 14th of the year, and the Jets have life. And like I said, that's one of the things, and he talked about it with Dan Robertson in the first intermission, Drew, but it wasn't something we were used to seeing with him, is that going, and he said, if I want to score, that's where the goals are going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
And so he does go to the hard area. And even though you're in the hard area, it doesn't mean you're always going to get a cross check to the face or to the back or a slash to the leg. You can find soft ice sometimes. He does. He makes it a 2-1 game and changes the nature of that hockey game. And we saw it, I thought, in the second period, because it was like a totally different Jets team between the first and second periods.
They had some jumps. Seattle actually had some jumps to start the second period,
And,
I thought.
sorry, Drew. The only other thing I was going to say is, like, one thing we're seeing from Nikolai Ehlers, and you didn't see it on this play specifically, but I think we see it on one of the next soon thereafter. But you just see his willingness to hang on to a puck a little bit longer and make a good pass. And whether we've seen him now coming in, gain the zone, shield the puck with his body, and then fire it over. I thought in this instance he did that in the defensive zone, where he kind of protected the puck, then fired it up, which kind of started the play. But I just thought that we're seeing this a little bit more and more with Nikolai Ehlers, in that he's coming in, protecting the puck, then distributing it, as opposed to trying to quickly get away and shy away from contact. So it was just an observation I made. I just thought I saw it on this goal, but I also saw it throughout the course of this hockey game.
Sort of controlled aggression from Ehlers, as opposed to just the reckless abandon that he sometimes played with at the highest speed, where he'd try to do too much. Maybe it results in a turnover going the other way, I think is what your point was in this instance. The Jets, Seattle pushes early to start the second period. The Jets are able to withhold that. They're able to not give up anything beyond that. Dylan DeMello does take that roughing penalty early in the second period. The Jets kill that one off. That was a big penalty kill at that point. And then at the 11:42 mark of the second period, Kyle Connor, he gets his 36th of the year assist to Morgan Barron. And really what you have here is you have Brandon Montour with a real aggressive rush for the Seattle Kraken. He feeds it back out to Riker Evans. And Evans is at the point, and he's in a good shooting position. Morgan Barron goes and he blocks the shot. He sacrifices himself. He blocks the shot. Kyle Connor, who was charging out at trying to get out at Riker Evans as well, he's now behind Evans. Barron turns and fires a backhand breakaway pass to Kyle Connor, and Kyle Connor comes in all alone down to the left of Joey Decord, the right for everyone else. He cuts over in the middle, and then he beats Joey Decord on the breakaway. And you just see Kyle Connor in open space behind a defender. Has got to be a horrifying sight for any goaltender in this league. No chance for Decord. Beautiful pass by Morgan Barron, paying the price and then making the play. And Kyle Connor makes no mistake to tie it up at 2 goals apiece.
This was like vintage Kyle Connor, University of Michigan, 2015-16. Like, it's amazing to me how he's been playing in the NHL for over a decade. I guess just under a decade, maybe 9 years. And it is incredible how fast he remains, and just his nose for the net. And he can sense an opportunity. And again, I don't think he's cheating the game the way we used to see him and other guys, more offensively inclined guys on this team do so. But he recognizes turnover, here's a chance. And he goes. And I posted this on Twitter and what's the other one? Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Blackberry. No, but on Blue Sky.
Blueberry is what we use to upload the show to the
yes, Blueberry.
feed.
That's right. Good call. Good call. But no, I mean, it's like, what was filthier? That great pass by Morgan Barron to know, like, okay, I know that Kyle Connor is there. Take a look and get it to him, or the goal. And the goal's phenomenal. Like, Kyle Connor, we seem to forget, because as Kelly Moore pointed out in our media availability with Kyle the other day, he's been getting a lot of assists. He hasn't been getting a ton of goals of late. Still has 36 goals. He's still third in the NHL. Leaves Mark Scheifele in his dust. 35. So leaves Mark Scheifele in fourth place, and he is alone in third with the third most goals in the NHL. So I mean, he's having a phenomenal year, remains on pace to be the only 100-point guy in Jets 2.0 history.
Yeah.
And so his terrific season continues. And it's just a phenomenal goal. It really is an unbelievable goal by Kyle Connor. I mean, Joey Daccord has almost no chance. Like, you can see it. And when he has that kind of time, space, and speed, very, very few guys are stopping him. And he makes no mistake. His 36th goal of the year and a great pass by Morgan Barron. Again, another instance where I was watching Barron, I was like, "Oof, this kid's having a good game," and he's been really good of late. And so it's I was gonna start the show as do we need to talk about Morgan Barron, because I don't know if we're talking about him enough, and he really is working out well as the center right now for the Jets on that fourth line.
So after 40 minutes, the score is tied at 2 goals apiece. So it's a brand new hockey game. The Kraken start the third period by getting into some penalty trouble. Vince Dunn, hooking penalty, 1:12 into the third period. Adam Larson, high sticking penalty on Mark Scheifele a couple minutes after the Kraken kill off that first one. But the Jets power play is not clicking at all on all cylinders.
They did have that
game.
They did have that great I think Gabriel Velarde had that down low chance. Got to give Daccord credit. Daccord made a phenomenal save on Velarde, because I thought I'm like, again, we've watched this team enough that I was like, well, that's going to be in the net, because I don't remember if it was, I thought it was Scheifele who made the pass, but it could have been, actually, I think, was it Connor or Scheifele? I don't recall. But now knowing me, it's probably not. I think it was Scheifele, but it was a down low pass, and Daccord made a beautiful stop on Velarde. So he made some nice stops on the power play. I got to give him credit.
Yeah, I just didn't think the Jets, I mean, they had some trouble, I thought, gaining the zone, especially on that first power play. I think it was the second one that was a little bit better executed, that started with the second unit, if I recall. I thought the first one maybe had some opportunities where the Jets were struggling to gain the zone. And really, frankly, you're used to the Jets power play succeeding. So once Seattle started to take those penalties, I thought, okay, well, here's a golden opportunity. I guess it still was a golden opportunity for the Jets to take the lead. They weren't able to do it.
And Drew, worth noting, the Kraken have the 20th ranked PK in the NHL.
Right. So it's not like it's some sort of dominant penalty kill or anything along those lines. So you think the Jets would have been able to typically, as they have so many times this year, take advantage of that. They were not able to. The third period, chances at both ends. Both goalies came up big for their teams when they needed to, as we touched on earlier on the post-game show, but nothing in the third period. So we head off to the overtime period, both teams having earned the point and now trying to determine who gets the bonus point. In Seattle, really, they controlled the play for the first minute, I would say, minute 10 maybe, of the overtime period. They had a number of chances. Eric Comrie made that really nice save where it almost looked like he was going to play the puck again, but eventually he got the whistle. And it was not the Jets' big guns, not the guys you would expect to be on the ice in that overtime period, who drive the bus home for the Winnipeg Jets. Vlad Nemesnikov gets the secondary assist. Cole Perfetti gets the primary assist on the Dylan Samberg game-winning goal at 3-on-3 in overtime, something I was not expecting to say, but it's also our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Big thank you to our friends at Seagram's for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Seagram's 83 is Manitoba's #1 whiskey. Wherever you're drinking, make sure you're drinking responsibly and pick up your favorite Seagram's product at your local Manitoba liquor mart. Dylan Samberg, his 6th assist to Perfetti and Nemesnikov. I mean, the footwork demonstrated by Cole Perfetti to gather up this puck. The pass from Dylan Samberg is a little bit in his skates, but he's able to gobble it up. He's able to collect it with his skates. This is after Vlad Nemesnikov gains the zone and then finds Samberg for the pass. Sort of Samberg's the trailer on this play. And don't mistake Vlad Nemesnikov with a little bit of a bit of a rub, a bit of a pick play. Maybe it was incidental contact. I'm sure he would say it was incidental on Jaden Schwartz, but he certainly does interfere with the Kraken forward, which allows the Jets to get a little bit more time, a little bit more space, and then Cole Perfetti feeds it across to Dylan Samberg to give the Jets the 3-2 victory in Seattle. Just a real nice night for a lot of those sort of lunch pail kinds of guys on this Jets team, guys who might not necessarily get the headlines, but guys who are coming into their own, namely Perfetti, namely Samberg, who are taking on that next level in their development, and they team up to give the Jets the 3-2 victory day.
Look, just seeing Cole Perfetti in overtime is a bit of a shocker, right, Drew? And we know that obviously with Neil Pionk on the shelf week to week with that lower body injury that he was dealing with, and the team has now put him to allow him to heal up, that there will be an opportunity for a guy like Dylan Samberg, his good buddy from Duluth, Minnesota. I mean, they basically are. They basically are from Minnesota.
14th province, 14th province.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that there's a big connection between Manitoba and Minnesota, but I don't think it's not quite that big yet. But no, I mean, this is it's that idea of opportunity, and that's what you're talking about. And I agree. I saw that. I mean, Brandon Montour and Shane Wright also kind of were confused on the play. You could see that they kind of got a little bit lost. They didn't know who had the puck. It was good movement by the Jets, a nice pass by Nemesnikov. And I mean, again, this is where Cole Perfetti's hockey IQ comes through the roof, because he recognizes opportunity. And credit Dylan Samberg for seeing Perfetti has the puck, knowing, okay, I'm going to go and get I'm going to go to the open ice. So Perfetti does what he does, which is get it over to Samberg, and then no mistake by Dylan Samberg, his first ever OT winner at the NHL level. I can't remember if he's got one at the AHL level. I could text Daniel Fink, see if we can get that information a little bit late. They're in Iowa right now, and they didn't have the best game tonight. So maybe I'll leave Daniel alone for today, and we'll touch base with him tomorrow to get that news, or I could do my own research and not be lazy. But that seems less
Sunday night. Honestly, you're allowed to be a little bit lazy at 20 minutes to midnight on Sunday night. I hate these later Sunday games of all the days. These later Sunday games are the ones that bug me the most. Sundays, my brain is ready to be turned off nice and early.
There you go. But I mean, I think, I go with Philly Danger here, and I saw JB also had the comment, like, Perfetti is just continuing to show you why the Jets have had faith in him and why they are confident in that young man, because this is another part of his evolution and development is being given these opportunities. And I mean, again, there are a lot of other guys that he can go to on 3-on-3, guys who are faster, but there is something to be said for a guy who has, his type of I don't want to say pedigree, but his intelligence. And so we see the benefit of that with this play. And as a result, the Jets earn the 3-2 win. Is that back-to-back games now with Dylan Samberg scoring a goal? So he's going streaking. Is that his 6th goal of the year? I believe
that was his 5th goal of the year.
5th goal of the year.
No,
okay,
6th, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry,
okay.
You're right.
6th goal of the year. So Dylan Samberg already career high for goals. He's continuing to add to it. And I mean, I don't know how many Brendan Dillon has, Drew, but I can look it up quickly and figure that out courtesy of something called the Google. But I mean, that's who he was trying to replace. And so Brendan Dillon for the New Jersey Devils has 2 goals. So Brendan Dillon has 2 goals, 11 assists, and Dylan Samberg has 6 goals and however many is. I think he's probably around 10 assists, maybe. But
well, I can tell you exactly. He's at 11 assists as well, because he assisted on the first goal of the game.
Oh, right. There you go. So he was at 10. Now he's at 11. So, I mean, he's matched Brendan Dillon with the assists, and he's got 4 more goals than him. So, I mean, that is significant. That's not insignificant. And defensively, the more important element of what Dylan Samberg needs to be on this team, and we saw what he did in terms of solidifying Neil Pionk and that partnership, and just continued. And again, it's been much more fluid, the D pairings over since Luke Schenn has joined, than pretty much, to be honest with you, than any other time we've seen it, because they've been pretty rigid for the majority of the season. And now in the last, I mean, Luke Schenn, this was his 3rd game. So we're on game 68. So in the previous 65 games, I'd say the D pairs were pretty structured and a lot less fluid in the last 3 games than we've seen them. And look, there's still opportunity for the Jets to experiment and try out some partnerships and try some new things and make sure everything's, so you have that ability to adjust if need be, like when a Neil Pionk goes down. And so, or if you want to protect the lead late in the 3rd period, like we saw the other day where Luke Schenn came in instead of Neil Pionk on that D pairing with Dylan Samberg. So these are all the things that you're doing. But ultimately, Cole Perfetti to Dylan Sandberg, the former roomies, they get it done. Second time in the game that they are able to each complete a goal and an assist for the other. And the Jets pick up again, not like it's a monumental win, but it's a good win. It's a good way to start the road trip. And again, you get yourself closer to clinching that playoff spot, so we can finally get Scott O'Neill to start talking about the playoffs. Because he kept saying, "Well, we can't talk about it until we clinched." He's kind of going away from that a little bit, and continue to see if this team can end up either winning the West, which we think that they're going to do, and even win the President's Trophy, which again, between them and the Capitals, will be an interesting race to the finish. And coincidentally, they're playing the Capitals in 9 days?
Next Tuesday, so the 24th, the 25th, Tuesday the 25th.
Yeah.
The Capitals will be in Winnipeg to face the Jets. And if it's anything like the first game between the Jets and the Capitals, that was a barn burner. So I'm sure that was the next one on that Tuesday will be as well. 3-2, the Jets victorious in overtime tonight over the Seattle Kraken. They come back from a 2-goal deficit to score 3 unanswered to win 3-2. They move up to 98 points on the season, putting them tops in the entire Central Division, the entire Western Conference, and the entire NHL. When we come back on the Illegal Curve post-game show, more coverage of tonight's Jets victory over the Kraken. While we go to break, your responsibility is to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, it's the Play Now Illegal Curve post-game show. More to come on this Sunday night.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling sites instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in 2 unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
1:45 Sunday night. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, the Illegal Curve post-game show rolls on as the Jets defeat the Seattle Kraken by a 3-2 margin. They now head just a couple hours north to Vancouver, British Columbia, where on Tuesday night the Jets and the Canucks will do battle. Certainly an important game for the Canucks in the Turtle Derby. That is the Western Conference wild card race for a second spot. They currently have the lead on the Seattle Kraken. They're tied in points, but the lead on the St. Louis Blues. They're tied with the Blues in points, but the Canucks.
I'm like the Seattle Kraken. How's that possible?
The Canucks have a game in hand. Calgary is the team that's really in the driver's seat, as they've played 2 games less than most of the teams they're battling with, and 3 points less than this, 3 games less than the St. Louis Blues, and they're only 2 points behind. But all these teams, nobody can seem to string together more than 1 win or 2 wins at a time, and that explains sort of why all these teams are struggling to make any ground up.
The most disappointing team, and I know Jets fans are going to have no sympathy for the Wild, but it's crazy to me the fact that at one point I think it was like Washington, Winnipeg, and Minnesota for like top teams in the NHL, and they were right there for so long. And for so long, they had so few losses, and now 3-6-1 in their last 10. They're going to be in the playoffs most likely. They've got a 6-point lead on both those teams, both Vancouver and St. Louis, Drew. But so disappointing. And I know they've dealt with like a laundry list of injuries.
No Kaprizov, no Joel Eriksson. They can't score goals. They lost last night, or they got booed off the ice last night in St. Paul. I think losing to the St. Louis Blues. It's really since January. It's been really a struggle for the Minnesota Wild.
And one thing about the Seattle team is that they can actually score goals. I think they have the 6th most goals in the Western Conference. We're up over the 200 mark, where a lot of teams weren't, other than obviously the 3 in the Central and Edmonton and Vegas. But the truth is that there weren't a lot of they have a lot of goal scoring. They also give up a lot of goals, so that's doesn't really help. But I thought, like I said, that was a pretty entertaining game. But ultimately, the Jets took it, and again,
it's one of those games where you take your 2 points, you run away. You're not overwhelmingly thrilled with how you played for the 60 minutes. You're okay with how you played, I'd say, for the last 40 of the 60.
For sure.
And again, it was, I think, exactly as expected. Bit of a slow start, hard to match the energy you had on Friday night, but you got better as the game went on. You stayed in the fight, to use that cliche, and ultimately you end up getting the 2 points with the overtime victory. So the Jets won't apologize for that. 3 games against the Kraken, the Jets win all 3 this year. All 3 victories come by a 1-goal margin. So the Kraken played them tough all season long, but the Jets found a way. To pull it out in the end tonight. One of the Manitoba teams on the ice did not pull it out today. Quickly, Dave, as it's very close to midnight, just a quick recap of what happened with the Manitoba Moose in this Minuk Moose Minute.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Drew, do you mind if I talk about tomorrow's game? Yesterday's game as opposed to today's game, because
yesterday they won. Today they lost badly, right?
Yeah, like yesterday was a good game. They were, Fabian Wagner. We got to talk about 2022 6-rounder. Talked about him with Daniel Fink. I know you left us for the second half of yesterday's show. I mean, I'm gonna, as everyone who watched that show, and there were so many of you who did, and I appreciated that, who stuck around with Jim Toth and I appreciate Jim jumping on with us to do that second hour. But I did get my Moose fix in yesterday. I talked about the Moose for half an hour.
That's right. This is a short Minuk Moose Minute. Yeah. A short one, not a long one, a short one.
That's fine. But I'm just saying, like, I managed to get a half an hour in with Daniel Fink. So we talked about the Moose, of course, from in advance of their game. They played a 6:00 game against the Iowa Wild. The playoffs are, I try and sell hope sometimes on these shows and on the website, illegalcurve.com.
I didn't want to call you out on it, Dave, but I saw your tweets about the Moose game today, and you're talking about it as a game they need to have. Well, Dave, unless this game was going to be worth 40 points for them in the point standings, it doesn't matter at this point.
But Drew, I will see. But ye have little faith, because what you have to understand is the 2 teams that they play, I think 7 of the next 15 games are Iowa and Rockford, and they're chasing Rockford. Now, unfortunately for them, Rockford went on a hot streak and won 4 straight. So they're 12 points up or something like that. So yes, it is likely insurmountable, but Drew, We
I
don't. We
know
don't.
you're selling hope. I
I
appreciate that you're
yeah,
selling hope.
we live well. Matt, I'm sorry, or sorry, Philly says that the Moose website still blocks out of country IPs. You know what country your website does not? Illegalcurve.com. So
That's
we've
right.
got all the highlights. So every time you go, if you want to watch the Moose recap, go in. We've got everything. We got the lineups. We got everything that happened in the game. We've also got the highlights from the game. We've also got the game post-game interviews. So you can always get all your fix if you don't get it on this show. But I mean, we'll talk about just quickly, Drew. Jamie Engelbert, who's from, I believe, Whitby, Ontario. He scored his first AHL goal. He's a PTO signing. And Reese Vitelli, who is a Winnipegger. I don't know if anybody in the chat knows him or his family, but he got his first AHL point with the Moose, the team he grew up cheering for. So he got it in his first game with Manitoba. And Dominic DiVincentis, the Jets goalie prospect, he got his first assist. He had a nice little blocker out pass. And then Jared Anderson Dolan yesterday, he got 2 goals, including the OT winner. Fabian Wagner, though, I got to mention him because he got his 6th goal in the last 5 games. So he had a 5-game point streak, a 5-game goal streak, 6-game point streak, and he kept rolling. And the Moose ended up winning that game in overtime, came back and won that one, or they actually had a lead and then won the game. Today, similar, they had to come back. Dominic Tonnato tied the game. Captain, that's his 15th goal, finally takes over the goal scoring lead from Parker Ford. That goes to show you how considering Parker Ford hasn't played in weeks, if not a month. So it shows you how bereft of goals this Moose team has been. And then Isaac Phillips, he scored his 3rd of the season, 2nd in Antlers. He tied it 2-2, and that was as close as the Moose got. It was a 6-2 final. So they'll conclude their road trip in Rockford. Then they'll come home for a couple of games against Abbotsford next weekend. We'll have tickets for that if you want to go. And the Moose will, Brad Lambert, he got his team leading 26 assists in today's game. So, and Elias Salamonson, he continues to do well. And of course, Drew, since we're mentioning the kids, Kieran Walton, Jets 2022 6th rounder, gets up and over the 90-point mark in the OHL. He had 2 goals today in a Sudbury loss. And Jacob Julian, who of course just signed his 3-year ELC with the Jets, he had a goal and an assist. So lots doing. I didn't get Zach Naring. Zach Naring, by the way, I want to say he had like 3 goals last weekend, but I was in Vegas last weekend, so I was doing my best to keep up to date with everything for everyone. I kept the website going, although I'm not going to lie to everyone. One of the mornings I was like, "What the hell did I write? I'm not sure what this is." I did change it though, so the English is a little bit better. But
you're allowed to have some, as long as your drunk tweeting is not illicit in any way, shape, or form, you're okay. We'll let it go.
No, I kept it good. I just was more tired than anything, Drew. But anywho, it was good times. But anyways, so the website is up, of course. Actually, it's not yet up to date. I've got I was come back from the lake, so we'll have the website updated.
So let's stop there. We'll end the program at that point in time. That'll allow you to go update the website. That'll allow you to finish up your post-game show duties, where you post the podcast and you do all the grunt work that we appreciate and that our audience appreciates so much each and every night here on the Illegal Curve YouTube channel.
Or illicit curve as per Corey.
That is it for us. A big thank you to all of our sponsors who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website. Speaking of the website, a possibility. That, of course, is our friends at Seagram's. Saw a lot of chat. People were, what Seagram's product were they drinking? Love to see that in the chat. Our friends at City Place will be back there for playoffs. That's coming up soon enough, so stay tuned for details about that. Boston Pizza, we're going to be there on April the 10th for the Jets and the Dallas Stars, the rematch. That's coming up Thursday, April the 10th. Holt Dental, they keep our teeth clean and looking shiny for us here on the YouTube channel. Play Now, they're the title sponsor of our programming, and of course, our longtime sponsor, our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. On your way out, if you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, turn your notifications on, and tell your friends and tell your family the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game. And again, on Saturday mornings is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. Plenty of post-game coverage to come on illegalcurve.com. We'll be back Tuesday night for the Jets and the Vancouver Canucks. That'll be a late one, 11:45 p.m. Central Time. get a little nap in before, and then we'll be up ready to rock and roll after the Jets and the Vancouver Canucks. For my good friend Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. The Jets win. The Bison's volleyball champions of youth sports as well. It's not Winnipeg, it's Winnerpeg tonight.
Ooh.
Still Tuesday night. We'll wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.